What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jordan here from Airfare Gaming, coming at you with another deck profile. This time of mine, it's Heatsoul control, or just basically Cyber's control, if you want to call it that. It's got a little bit of spice to it. I just picked up this deck about a week ago, and I played it in the tournament in person for the first time. I've been playing with it online for a little bit, just testing out different ratios of different things and different ideas. And the spice that I came up with, I've watched a lot of the deck profiles of this type of deck, but there was something that was standing out to me. So a lot of these guys have no normal summon effects. So I was like, why don't I just throw in the Brave Engine? So I threw in a little bit of the Brave Engine in this deck. But I took this to locals today, got top 4. So let's go ahead and get into it. Shout out After Gaming, of course, the dope field center. And then shout out my boy Goku Black, hardest villain. But here we go. So, first things first, play 2 Cyber's Gadget, 2 Microcoder, 2 Code Generator, and then my Power 1 of Monsters. Hold on, sorry about that, guys. Code Exporter, Mathematic Addition, and then 1 Dotscaper. So let me explain these. So all the code guys, the ones with the code in it, they have this effect in their hand where if you have a Cybers monster that I control that would be sent as a link monster for a code talker link monster, I can use these guys in my hand as a link material. So if I have Code Generator and like a Cybers monster on the board, and I have enough materials, I would link summon into a Code Talker type, and then they all have effects when they're used as link materials. They don't have to be sent to the graveyard, I believe. Hold on 1 second. Oh, no, sorry. They have to be used in the graveyard. But that's irrelevant anyways, as long as I get the monster out. But they do get sent to the graveyard, of course. They get these effects. Code Generator, he's a Foolish Burial when used in the hand. Or when he's used on the field, you can use the Foolish Burial effect, or you can add a Cybers monster with 1200 attack or less. So basically, you're just a Foolish Burial for Dotscaper. Dotscaper is probably the most busted card in the deck. So whenever he's sent to the graveyard in general, you can special summon him back from the graveyard. Or when he's banished, you can special summon him back from the banished. You can use each of the effect only once a duel, and only 1 time that turn. So if I send him to the graveyard and I use his effect, that's the only effect I can use that turn. But I can still use the banished effect later on. Anyways, enough of that. 2 Microcoder. Basically, Microcoder is just, he's a 1-for-1 target, which I do play in here. And he's also the searcher for the Counter Trap. One of the most busted cards I've seen that's searchable. So I'll get into that soon. Cyber's Gadget. Cyber's Gadget is a 1-card Heatsoul. So basically what happens with Heatsoul, you summon him. He has a normal summon effect, which is target a level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard and special summon in defense mode, which most of the time I'll have because I play Valor and DD Crow, or any of these guys, of course. But I usually don't use that effect often. I usually only use it as bait when I'm starting out. But it's irrelevant anyways with the Brave Engine. But anyways, when I link him off, he special summons a token. So basically, you use him, special summon like a Lingeribo, then summon the tokens, use the token and the Lingeribo, make Splash Mage special back one of the Cyberses, and then make Heatsoul. So he's one of the main starters. I might bump him up to 3 just because of that reasoning. But today was just a testing trial, but it was really fun. Code Export, he's the new one out. It goes from the past 2. He's okay. I would only run him at 1 in the future anyways. He's just good because he can add recursion. So basically these 2 work perfectly together if you start out with them or you search them. So basically, if there's a monster on board, period, you can activate this effect, make that monster gain 1,000 attack and special summon him. And then use this guy, special summon from your hand, of course, the link material, to a Code Talker monster. Now, when he's sent from the hand to the graveyard, you get to add back a level 4 lower Cybers monster, and this is level 4, so you have this back. Now you only special summoned him, so now you can normal summon him and use that for the third material for Heatsoul. So it's pretty busted. I really like this engine. Like I said, I'll probably bump Gadget up to 3. That's about the only change I'll do. But now onto the spice. I'll get into explaining my ratios. Alright, so the Brave engine. Voila. Surprise, surprise. A lot of the decks are running it. So when I was testing this out, I really wanted to try out this engine and see if it conflicted at all, and it didn't. It was actually perfect. There's only a couple times where it does conflict, but those are very rare times, and those never really come up that often. So originally in my original deck list, I was playing about 42, 43, I believe. And I was playing 3 Enchantress and 3 Right. Sorry. Yeah. And 3 Right. But it got a bit bricky. And I was trying to figure out what to cut. I was thinking about cutting other things but the engine because I needed it. Even thought about cutting this. But it's just too strong. This is too strong. But my boy Sauls, he has a deck profile in here too, the Plunder Patrol guy. He told me that running 3 of the monster and 1 right is really good if you want consistency. Because you won't have a dead spell in your hand if you open up multiples of this. Or if you open up right and Enchantress. So I was like, okay. And he told me this today. So I made the necessary cuts, made it 40 cards. And yeah, it was really good. Enchantress was glued to my hand today. I don't know why, but it was. The MVP of this engine is really this guy. I used him a couple times today, and it was really when I needed him the most. So a lot of people, they would kill off Griffin, or they would kill off the actual, like the Draco back part of the OG part. But when I had this and I had a token on board, literally I would use it just to smack people. And then like on their turn, if I still have the token, I literally interrupt their entire play by special summoning this on their side. So it would kill them. And also, this synergizes as well with another part of the deck that I really thought was pretty neat. And I tried it out in theory, but it didn't happen today. But I'll go into that later. Next up, the heart and soul of the deck. My hand traps. Doom and boom. Alright, so 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, 3 Veiler, and these are this makes my money right here. 2 Bell and 2 Crow. So the main portion of this deck is supposed to be hand traps, but another thing I realized too in testing and in just my theory, a lot of these monsters can be used as link materials to get my plays going if I really need to. So say I open up like multiple hand traps, which is good in theory, but if I open up like a code monster, it does nothing for me. I can't normal summon that code monster. So if I open up multiples of my hand traps, like DD Crow and Effect Veiler can go into Linkuriboh or Almirage, and then these guys, the Ghost Girls, can go into Almirage if I normal summon them. A lot of people will question me why I do that, but like if I want to get my plays going and get the main part of the deck going, I'm fine with getting rid of a hand trap if I have like 2 more in my hand at that point and a code monster. Because if I have any of the code monsters, I'm fine at that point, because then I'll just make Splash Mage and then go into Heatsoul and then continue on with my stuff. But they worked out very well. I actually didn't see much of DD Crow today, literally in my hand at all. Or if I did have it in hand, he was always getting normal summoned for my bricky hand going first, so I could keep my plays going. But it was solid. I like the ratio. Now onto my spell cards. So there are no multiples of spells. Every one of them has their own special unique thing. It's all just power 1-ofs. 1-for-1 is busted. I'll get into that in a second. Change of Heart I didn't see at all today, and I mained it just in case I lost the die roll and I did see it. It was always getting sided out if I went first or not, so it really just depended on the matchup. Gold Sark and Foolish Burial are busted in this deck. 1 Silent Mining because it's searchable, and also because it's just a Rhoda, basically, and called by the grave. So let me just explain I know you guys don't want to hear a lot of explaining, but let me just include this interaction with this deck and why I thought these ratios were great. 1-for-1 in Silent Mining say send one card from your hand to the graveyard, and this one says send one monster from your hand to the graveyard. Now, these both have in common that monsters are going from your hand to the graveyard. And so, what is used as a good graveyard monster? And recursion. Yeah, you said it right here now. Water Enchantress and Dotscaper. Yep, they both have utility in the graveyard when they're sent to the graveyard. Water Enchantress, I can still banish from the graveyard and do my plays. And Dotscaper, he gets his effects. It's a special summon, which is great. So it's like a +1, I guess you could say. But Goldsark and Foolish. Foolish is for Dotscaper and Water Enchantress as well. It's the same theory as these three. Goldsark, though, Goldsark's only used for this. Because what happens is that you can activate it and you can banish the Dotscaper. And Dotscaper has the, if this card is banished, special summon. So I thought it was pretty neat. I used it a couple times today, actually, whenever I saw Goldsark. So it was really cool and really extended my plays. And then on to my actual trap cards. 3 Rivalry and 1 Signet Conflict. So this was killing it, man. So let me just explain Signet Conflict. So it's kind of like the Salamangreat trap. It's like the searchable Salamangreat, whatever it's called, Roar, whatever. I don't even know what it's called. Tell me in the comments. Basically, when a spell, trap card, or a monster effect is activated while I control a Code Talker, and Heatsoul is a Code Talker monster. So basically, you sit on Heatsoul and then you set this. You negate the activation. If you do, you banish that card, and if it does get banished, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects of that card with the same original name that was banished until the end of the next turn. So if I basically if they say Brandon in red or something like that for some reason on their turn, I can do that, banish their Brandon red, and they can't even use it on my turn. I'm just busted. Or like Aliber, so they can't do their Aliber effects in the graveyard either, or activate Branded opening. Rivalry of the Warlords. My entire deck is Cybers, except for the Brave Engine. Now, here's the neat thing about the Brave Engine, guys. So, Illegal Knight, when he's on the board, so say this is still set, and I have this Illegal Knight on my board, or I have in my hand with the token, I will literally, depending on the deck I'm playing, because a lot of these decks don't play Fiend monsters, I will chain at the beginning of the standby, or not the standby phase, I'm sorry. Main phase, when they first do something, like whether it's like play a spell or something, it really just depends. Even if they go into main phase, I can quick effect this. Special summon the Illegal Knight. They have a monster or a spell on board. This card says target up to 2 cards your opponent controls. Send them back to their hand and special summon the Illegal Knight. Basically, switch control of the Illegal Knight to their board, okay? Then I flip Rivalry, and they can't summon anything unless it's a Fiend. So I'll have my token, sure, but I'm going to bounce it back on my next turn and whatever, and just keep poking them. And they won't have any monster. They'll have to deal with this Rivalry. But the fact of the matter is that I can literally stop their entire play with this is what's busted. So, yeah. Just keep that in mind. And also, too, another thing with that whole thing, if I have Decode, the token, and this on board, I'll do the Illegal Knight play first, activate Rivalry, and then get rid of the token, and then keep the Decode talker guy. So it's really busted because I'll keep being able to play. But let me hurry up here. This extra deck's kind of simple. There's a little bit of spice in here, but it's my own personal choice. So onto the Link ones. Almirage, Link Karibo, and Lingaribo, and Link Spider. Link Spider is obviously for the token. Almirage is for any of my monsters that are 1,000 or less, so it's really good. Link Karibo is good for my level 1s that are bricks, and Lingaribo is really good. Now, what's funny, though, as well, is that somebody activated a trap card. Like, somebody activated a floodgate, I believe, and activated this, and then activated a trap, and then I chained it to tribute for cost on my summon, and it banished that card because it negated the effect and banishes the card. So I never thought I'd ever be able to use that, but it was really cool. Then on to my Link 2s. These are the only Link 2s that I play in the deck. Code Talk Inverter and then Splash Mage. I'm never really going to the Link 2s that much because the way I play, I don't really Link climb like that because it adds more summons to Nibiru. And this deck can get Nibiru depending on if I have my Brave Engine or not. But Splash Mage is nuts. Code Talker Inverter is just a Code Talker monster that I can summon. I would get regular Code Talker, but nobody seems to have it. So, my Link 3s. These are the only Link 3s I play. Topologic, Transcode, and the main source of the deck, 2 Heatsouls. I only play 2 Heatsouls, you only need 2. If you summon it one time, you'll be able to summon it again with either Splash Mage or with Transcode. So, it's really good. I never went to Transcode today. If I would have went into Transcode, it would have been game at that point. So, yeah. Topological Trisbania. I put this in. This is my back row removal, by the way. So, like, it's a Cybers too, so it really works with the deck. So, I mean, this is a pretty old card. A lot of people should know what this does. Basically, whenever a monster is special summoned to one of his arrows, basically, I'm banishing all your spells and traps, essentially. So, it's my back row removal. Anything else about this? Oh, yeah. Another thing I should point out, too. So I read over a lot of the cards. And the reason why I like the Brave Engine here as well is that these are the only 2 cards in the deck that lock me into Cyberses. So the thing is that I try to avoid these guys as much as possible. But if I really need to, I'll go into them. But once I do my Brave plays, I can just go ham and just do all the lock me into Cybers plays. So it's really good. My Spice, this is Spice. This isn't. This is obvious. It's a Code Talker. Access code busted. That's game. The little Ignister guy. So I can actually make this guy. You have to sequence it correctly. I don't know the exact combo because there's multiple ways of getting him. But it's really good. It's towers if I really need to. I could have went into it today, but I was trying to go for game. I wasn't trying to go for 3,000, so I managed to figure it out and keep my plays going. Then I play 2 fusions, Starting Venom and Dragostapelia. I side Super Volley, so that's why I play it. Because my locals plays a lot of Despia and a lot of Dark Monsters. So I just had them for the side. I didn't really know what else to put in here. And then my own personal Spice, Red Eyes Darkness Metal Flare Dragon. So it would never ever really come up unless I have absolute game. But basically, there's only one way I can make this guy. If I have Illegal Knight and Griffin Rider on board, and I have a bunch of hand traps, and I have a Signet Conflict. It's never gonna happen. But I just wanted to throw it in because it's my favorite XZ monster, and they're both level 7s. So yeah, he's basically a pseudo Masquerade. He was the original Masquerade. But yeah. I guess I'll go into the side deck. It's really local, so just side wherever you feel like it. There's some Spice. 3 Ghost Ogres that add on to my hand traps if I go second. 3 Anti-Spell if I lose game 1 and I'm playing against Despia. D-Barrier put in work today. Basically, you can side whatever you want into this deck because it's a control deck. So if you wanted to go ham with traps, be my guest because that's what this deck is. It's a bunch of traps and whatnot. I tried out this new card from Defo, from Dimension Force, Exclusion. So my whole theory was that if I go first, and I'm going against like anybody that plays the Brave Engine or like anything that has hand effects like Dragtron or something like that, it's really random. What this card does, whenever my opponent activates a monster effect in their hand, I can negate the activation, and then if they have any cards in their hand, like period, they have to discard a card of their choice. I don't care if it's their choice. The fact that they're going to start out their game basically with 4 cards in hand after starting out with 6 is kind of busted because it kind of it makes them have to get rid of something. So that's why I wanted to try it. It never came up today because I didn't play against anybody with the Brave or the Despia engine, which is shocking. But it was pretty good. I would sight it in for real if I played against them. 3 super poly for the fusion targets against Despia and heroes. And 1 red reboot. I want to keep going with my plays, and I hate floodgates. This is my 1 floodgate out. So yeah, so enough talking. This was the deck I got top 4 with. My matchups were round 1, I played against Orcust. Round 2, I played against Evil Swarm, which dude actually went 3-1, but he didn't get the top because I kept winning. And yeah, that was easy. Because this matchup does nothing because all I'm summoning is Link monsters. Match 3, I played against Lightsworns, which is going to be on this channel if, like, before mine or after mine, I really don't know. He topped. He got 4th. And then last round was against Heroes, which was against Kevin, the guy I had a pleasure of doing the deck profile of. But yeah, so that's my deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to stay tuned for more updates on our Facebook page, Airfare Gaming. And also we have some cool new playmats designed and new t-shirt ideas designed as well. So just stay tuned and more content will be coming soon. Later, y'all.